All right, guys, we are live. This is Drake with the RPG Construct, and we are going to be running some more Harbinger tonight, some more Harbinger playtest. One of the rare things I do, a Harbinger one-shot. Usually when I run these things, it's mini campaigns or full-on campaigns, but I decided that we're going to take a little break from that and do a little bit of exploring tonight. So I got four awesome players here tonight, and we're going to be exploring the Arctic moon of Oth. In the Bastion system. So we're going to go through and let everybody introduce themselves, their character, plug anything that they want to, and then we'll get right into the game. So I think we're going to start off with Dave.
Hey folks, this is Dave, channel Mornblade Gaming. Tonight I am going to be playing Mick, aka Knucklebuster, because he is a mechanist. And however, his buddy Corey is taken to calling him Knuckles, among other things. So looking forward to kicking some ass and delving into some serious sci-fi tonight with these three individuals. The first time I played with all of them, and really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Dave. We'll go to Baron.
What's up, everybody? It's Baron, channel RWD Gaming. It's kind of a new channel, so nothing too much to check out yet. I'm going to be playing the Treader Cormag, or Corey, as his friends like to call him. Run-of-the-mill soldier here tonight. So also have not played with anybody here. Looking forward to that and running a cool game.
All right. Hopefully it'll happen. We'll go with Taylor next.
Hello, I'm Taylor. I'm playing Hana. She's a Mancer Siphon specialty. She uses red, yellow, and green Astra, and doesn't have time for blue Astra because she's not going to put your blood back where it belongs.
Very nice. She sounds like a wonderful person. And finally, last but not least, Megan.
Hey everyone, I'm one half of Dice on Ice, and tonight I will be playing Maddox Wilcott, who is a Mancer Astra specialization. And yeah, this is my first time playing Harbinger, so I'm really excited to play with everyone here.
Awesome, and I'm very excited to play with all these guys because I've never played with them before. So we are going to begin on your ship. All of you are members of an elite search and rescue squad known as the Elites. Now that acronym, we know what it's about, but I didn't write it down, so somebody will mention that later. All of you have been in stasis for the last few weeks. When you get called out on a mission, you don't really know what's up until you get there. It's one of those things that they keep it out of the news. You guys do a lot of missions that aren't really on the books per se. They're not illegal, but the companies that contact you guys are they want discretion. And generally, you provide that. Sometimes it's just search and rescue. Sometimes it's escort services. Sometimes it's going in and just cleaning out whatever's there. If it's some type of a, some type of biologic. So all of you slowly get out of your, for lack of a better phrase, stasis pods. You slowly get dressed. The ship is cold to your feet, both in the air and just on your feet as you're standing. When you're in your pods, you're really wearing nothing but your underwear. It's just the four of you. And of course, the computer, Anna. All of you have been around together for several years. You know each other well. And you all know that now you're to get dressed, grab something to eat, and head to the briefing room. What would the four of you like to do or say to each other?
I think Cormag stepping out of stasis, the cold paneling, he'd Anna, can we get some heat in here? And he kind of, I don't think he'd take breakfast. He likes his coffee black, and that's about as much of a breakfast as he's going for. So he flicks the old coffee pot on.
Yeah, and Mick, as he awakes, he just kind of lays there for a minute. And he reaches over next to him and he grabs his arc tool and he just begins checking, just out of curiosity, checking for pulses in the air. He's kind of passive about it. You never know. There could be somebody talking nearby. Might not be.
No, I mean, this is something that you have experienced before. It's it's kind of quiet as a tomb in this room. It's and you guys have been in stasis for probably about 3 weeks.
So as he finds nothing, he rolls out, kind of does some stretches before he goes over and begins gathering his equipment and looks at the other three. And wonders if this is the time. But he always wonders that as he wanders over to the breakfast bar or food bar to get some food and says, Hannah, how far out are we?
And it takes a few moments, but give me a moment and I will explain. Sorry, 1 second, guys. My system is going very slow. There we go.
Maybe as Knuckles approaches the breakfast bar, I slide him a cup. Get it while it's hot. I'm pretty sure this one's going to be a cold one. Mission-wise, that is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he takes it, kind of nods his thanks as he begins sipping on it and says, well, did you sleep well, ladies?
Now, you know that I do not sleep, Mick.
Took you long enough to wake up. Were you on the other side of the ship?
You know that I am everywhere. We are in low orbit around Off Moon. Are you ready for your briefing?
Anna, have some chill. We need coffee first.
Yes, coffee. That is always important to you. I do apologize.
It's important every damn time.
Yes, you have told me before.
They've waited this long, they can wait for us to drink a cup of coffee, damn it.
The mission briefing is ready in the briefing room. Whenever you are finished with your coffee.
And with this, you guys know what to expect here. You get some food, you get some coffee, and when you're ready, things should be explained to you.
Maddox would slowly get up from her stasis pod and just have the widest grin on her face. And she would, almost as a dance, kind of wander over to the breakfast bar while singing, 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice, see how they run. And she would just continue, and she would take her finger and stick it in the scalding hot coffee pot and just take it out and kind of lick it and just say, oh, the coffee seems Very good this morning. Are we ready to go?
Yeah, I think the rest is hers.
See how they run? And she would continue to sing that as she wanders to the briefing room.
I look over at Hannah and Corey, and I just say, she's talking about you, Three Blind Mice.
I'm about to ask Anna to start routing better music to her pod.
I think I'm ready for the briefing after that one.
Would all of you like to continue in? You can bring your coffee.
Yeah, Hana, shaking her head slightly, follows in behind Crazy Pants.
Okay. And I would think that you all kind of have your normal seats that you've been through this dozens of times. You know how this goes. And as you sit around this table, it's kind of like an octagon shaped table. What they call a glancer appears. This is like a 3D kind of hologram imager where all of a sudden you see kind of a little bit of static in this kind of green and blue color. And although the message is a little bit messed up, this is what you hear. Listen carefully.
Attention. Incoming mission briefing from Unit Commander Tim Ranford.
At E Squad, this is Ranford. Not going to be much of a briefing per se. It's going to be your standard search and recovery. You're going to off. Yeah, that's right, off. The ice moon. I know, nobody wants to be this far out in the outer rim. But that's what we get paid for, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks ago, this colony sent some type of a signal or distress message to their company. Not really much can be made of it. I'll include it here at the end of the transmission. Just get in, find out what's going on. But keep in mind, weird thing, some of the sensor arrays are still active on that colony. They're not showing any active life forms. So whatever happened, they think it's either biological or maybe there's a core leak, something. So make sure you wear all your protective gear. Don't go anywhere alone. Get there, stay warm, and report back. I guess they have something of value down there. They wouldn't be paying us this much to go out.
Transmission ended. All moon cartography downloaded into database. Commencing distress message playback. Transmission playback complete.
And then with that, the image just fades away. Your unit commander, Ranford, is usually a lot more thorough with his briefings. Not to mention that transmission from the colony was short and sweet, to say the least. Hearing that, what would be going through all of your minds? What would each of you be thinking, and what would you say? Let's start with Dave.
As Mick sits there, he's been kind of leaning forward, listening to it. Damn. You'd think that we're working for some flea-bit operation. They can't even clean up a fucking transmission? My God. And then he starts looking over at Maddox. She might be able to clean it up. Wonder. Branford sure was slim on the information this time. What do you guys think?
Let's go to Megan.
Maddox would be sitting there and be like, oh, that music was so lovely. Oth. And then she'd shake her head and hold it down, and she would say, rock-a-bye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the beasts will not stop. When the bough breaks, the large doors will fall, and gone will be baby, cradle and all. And she would say, I can fix it. I can fix it. I can fix it. And she'd look to Mick.
I'll give you a hand. I'd be happy to. I got a little bit of idea what a tech is, but can you lay off the songs? It's a little early. You got a pretty voice, and we're not going to be talking about certain dessert foods. You remember the last time that Hannah brought up the pie? That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying anything else. That's it.
Knuckles, I will kill you if she doesn't.
He starts walking over to the panel to begin working on it, pulling up the file and see if they can clean it up a bit. Because he just does the grunt work. She does the magic because she's the communications person.
Give me a technology roll, Dave. If he can find his sheet, apparently not.
Yeah, Maddox also goes over there and just starts fiddling.
Was that a natural 20, Dave? Okay. So the only thing that you can really figure out from this after kind of messing with it is that was exactly how much information Branford intended to give you. You would find this odd. Usually your briefings are 10 to 20 minutes. You really get a layout of what's going on and what you're going to be doing. You would find that kind of provocative. All of you would find that provocative. And as far as using that time to work with the distress signal, the only thing that you could really make out was that alarm in the background and that one scream. Everything else was just static. There was nothing that you could really bring back from that. And apparently that was all that the company received. They got a date, they got a time, and they got that message. The only other thing that I think probably Cormag would know is that alarm in the back is the alarm, basically is the radiation alarm. Hearing that, you would know that there was some type of a radiation leak or compromise or impending core meltdown or something like that. Most of these rigs are run on some type of fusion, but that is the alarm that you'd be familiar with. But beyond that, you don't have anything else.
So maybe as they're cleaning up this transmission, I walk over and finish my cup of coffee and negligently set it down on the same control desk that they're working on. And that alarm, that means radiation. We got to be careful with our suits or we can get sick. And kind of just thoughts that Carmag's having. He finds it odd that Ranford didn't say much, but he's used to having commanding officers sometimes be vague with the information and kind of expect the grunts to fill the blanks for themselves.
Okay. And Taylor, how would Hana feel about the kind of lack of information and kind of the abnormal way that you were introduced to this mission?
Hana's turning it over in her mind, comparing her previous interactions with Ranford to this transmission, and wondering why he didn't mention what they were mining and if it was important. Seems like it might have been a useful piece of information.
Absolutely.
But maybe there's a reason to leave it out.
Would you say that to your comrades here, or would you just keep that to yourself?
She's going to keep watching them monkey around with stuff.
Okay. So, as I said, Dave, that's all you and Megan can get out of that message. You guys know that typical protocol would be to basically suit up. That you would let the AI pilot the ship down. That generally you stay within about a mile of your target zone for a quick dust off should you need it. You haven't recently, but all of you have at one time or another had to utilize kind of an emergency evacuation protocol just to get out of there. So what would you guys like to do? Would you like to talk anymore? Would you like to go suit up? What would you like to do? And you just tell Anna what you want to do and she'll take it from there.
I think that Corey would kind of slap Mick on the chest. See, I told you it was going to be a cold one.
Yeah. And I think that bottle you had last week, that really nice bottle of alcohol you were drinking, was probably Ranford's, okay? And this whole cock up is you, dude. It's you, Corey. All right. Let's get our shit together, folks. We need to get down to the face of the planet. Unless I'm missing something.
You turn around and Hana's already got both legs and is zipping her suit up.
Now Maddox has kind of gone away from the computers and is also taking off her gear from its shelves and stuff and muttering, oh, I couldn't fix it, my love. I couldn't fix it, my dear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Please make sure to button everything completely. Current surface temperature, minus 35 degrees Celsius.
Colder than a witch's tit in a brass bra. Let's button up, folks.
I do not have a database for the temperature of that part. However, I will look into it.
Folktales, Anna, folktales.
I am sorry. I have no database on that part anatomically. Do you wish to begin our descent onto Oth surface?
I think at this point now we're all bundled up. We'd all kind of plop back into our chairs to begin descent to our destination.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Baron. What was that? Hey, Baron. You're muted, brother.
Yeah, I playing online. I forget about that all the time. But I think now that we're all suited up, we kind of plop back into our signature chairs, each kind of representing a quality about us. Mine's probably a little chewed and leaning to a side from a time I sat down a little too hard. Kind of just ready for the descent. I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah, Hana, on her way over to her chair, she Come here, Chatterbox. And she fixes Maddox's collar. You just keep singing those songs. You'll be fine.
And she just like, oh,
all
sorry.
restraints are fully buckled. We will experience extreme turbulence on our descent.
What were you saying, Megan?
I was just gonna say, Maddox just gives Hana just like the biggest smile, like just like a child would, and says, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah, there's a softness in Hana's eyes when she smiles down at you, like with a puppy or something.
And I'm going to assume that everybody is the boys are just going to get all strapped in, and you be good to go, yeah? Okay. And as you guys begin this descent, you just hear this kind of slight kind of rumbling. And that rumbling that you hear begins to just start this kind of minor shaking to the point where it just gets louder and stronger. And then outside of the front cockpit windows, you begin to see sparks begin to fly as you start to enter the atmosphere of this moon, until it's just a sheet of fire outside, and the ship begins to shake violently, and you can hear metal on metal clang in the background. Everything on the bar, you hear coffee mugs and everything. You can hear those behind you just crashing and breaking. And this goes on for probably 4 or 5 minutes, until finally you get through and you start to kind of slow down. And outside of the cockpit, you see a very familiar sight. This is just clouds, just thick clouds and a blue sky. Something that all of us have seen riding in an airplane. And with that, you hear Anna come back on and say,
"We are almost completed with our descent. We will land 1.2 kilometers from mining colony. Please be advised, due to atmosphere and surface level conditions, Whisperlink will not be active once you are more than 500 yards from the ship. In other words, you will be on your own."
I don't like
Dave,
that.
you're shaking your head.
No, Mick is sitting there thinking about this, and he's like, he likes to scan the frequencies, the pulses, and to listen in on conversations. And it's no wonder how he found that pulse, where he might have found some information about what we were going into, but he's not sure or not. He's still kind of rolling it around in his head. So the Umbra Forge, the mining collective, they're a business. They're in it for the money. And, that's not necessarily what he's thinking, but that's what he thought at the time. So he was like, he's just shaking his head, though. Mick is shaking his head because he's like, but he likes the odds. He likes going against the odds. He's a gambler he likes to gamble.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the AI of the ship? Any information that you may want to at least try to get with regards to the colony, the moon? Have any of you been here before or heard of this place? What information would you ask her during this kind of slow, 2 or 3 minute descent down?
I don't know. What's the day-night cycle here on Oth?
It is roughly 18 standard hours on Bastion for a full rotation. You will have approximately 8 hours of light and 10 hours of darkness. However, all of your Evo suits are equipped with ample lighting. Darkness should not be a problem.
he hears that and kind of pulls his jacket a little tighter. Cormac's from a desert planet, so though the conditions are similar, it's on the opposite end of the temperature spectrum, so he's out of his element.
Would anyone else have any questions?
Anna, what's the condition of the ship? Did we take any damage on the descent?
Hull integrity, 100%. Engines, 100%. Life support, 72%. All systems operating normally. Minor fluctuation in power grid, C. The bypassing. Bypass successful. Power fluctuation can be repaired at next scheduled maintenance cycle.
What do you have on Oth? I mean, do you have a history of this? Was Umberforge the first one here that you know of?
Records incomplete. Umberforge Mining Colony B7894J, established 3.7 years ago. Prior to establishment of mining colony, no records present.
Maddox would kind of pipe up at this and say, Eve was stuck. Eve is stuck. Eve, people are stuck. And she would just look around wildly at everyone, becoming quite agitated. Eve was stuck. She's trapped. And then she would get distracted by something blinking and just start, like, touching it.
Hana sees you getting worked up, and she reaches into a pocket and pulls out, like, a little washer or something, and it is wreathed in yellow astra, and she puts it out in front of you and starts rotating it so it's twirling in the air. Look at the pretty. Look at the pretty.
Yeah, and she would immediately just look at it and then just start, the beast will not stop. The beast will not stop. The beast will not stop, just over and over again.
This lady's crazy. So Baron and Dave, you see the two ladies, you see the Hana kind of calming her down. Now you've seen Maddox, you've seen her like this before, but this is slightly different. She seems a little bit more off than usual. Would you do or say anything, or would you just kind of let the girls be?
I don't think I would confront Maddox about it, but maybe, Mick, I think she forgot to take her medicine today.
I think she took too much. Well, we did just get out of the sleeper, but yeah. Maddie, tell us about Eve.
And she would just look at you away from the spinner and just say, oh, Eve was my sister. And then return back to the spinning washer.
He looks over at Corey and he says, well, there you have it.
I think Corey would still kind of, I don't know, man. We'll have to watch her on this one.
So as you guys are kind of having this conversation, you feel just kind of this noticeable, slowdown, just like, when a plane lands, and you can just feel it slowly sinking until the point where you feel it touch down. You've felt this dozens of times. You are now on the moon of Oth, looking out of the cockpit windows. You just see white. You see white ground, blue sky. Megan, probably similar to your life in real life in Canada. Just snow and mountains and blue sky and nothing else. You see, although the sky is clear, you do see that the wind is whipping pretty good, and it is absolutely clear, but you can definitely notice that the wind's probably going 30 or 40 miles an hour. It's whipping out there. Sorry, it was my kid.
So as Mick gets up after unstrapping, and he makes sure that he's got his scatter gun with holstered with his dagger stuck in the hilt. That's the dagger, the scabbard for it. And he's also got his flask stowed away, because you always need a drink sometimes. So just to clarify, Whisperlinks are going to be dead in relation to contacting Anna, but we'll be able to have Whisperlink conversations within range of each other.
As far as you know, absolutely.
Okay. That's the way it normally works.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So he begins making his way to the door.
Okay. And what about the rest of you? And Megan, would there be anything as you know, that kind of the doors, but behind you, you can hear the kind of the like the pressure kind of leveling out, and the as the back kind of ramp opens in the ship. You know that it's time to go. Would she hop right up and go, or would she have some reservations about going out?
She would look to everyone else and then just wide-eyed fear in her eyes. But she would switch between this fear and then blank, and then like as if she's phasing in and out. Like something in her brain is trying to get to the forefront of this cloudiness that has overcome her. And finally, it seems like the cloudiness takes over, and she just charges down the rampart and just flops down and starts to make snow angels in the snow.
And what would the three of you do as this happened?
Mick is just watching this as it goes on, and he's kind of worried for a moment, half worried. He has worked with her for a while. And then he sees her doing snow angels, and then he just kind of looks down, shakes his head, and he starts moving forward to pulls up his arc tool and begins scanning just in case. It's, you know how we fidget with our cell phones? That's what he does with his arc tool. I mean, he picks it up and he just starts playing with it. So he's checking for pulses and stuff, but
there's nothing that you can hear out here, but all of you can see behind the ship when the ramp opened. Just like in the picture, best way I can describe it is the picture that I put in the art for the game, that almost sitting on top of this kind of rocky outcropping, probably about 100 feet up, you see this long kind of H-shaped structure. You see that, you know, this is the colony. You see a central shaft that goes down. You know that this is the actual mining area. That surrounding it, you have 3 to 4 levels of, you have your engineering, your housing, and your command area. All of you have been through your typical mining colonies before. You know how they're laid out. You don't see anything other than the shutters. The storm shutters are closed. and you see two kind of flashing yellow lights on top. Probably meant for people bringing in ships or something like that at night to know where the location is. And it's approximately 2 miles away, give or take. I don't know what that is in kilometers, I'm sorry. But it would take you approximately 30 minutes or so to walk there, maybe a little bit more with the snow. But it's cold.
Anna,
Like
you couldn't have set us down closer.
I am sorry, Hana Kim, but protocol dictates that I land a minimum safe distance away from target area. You and I have discussed this previously. Should I replay the recording of our last conversation about this?
It wasn't 35 below on our last conversation, but no, don't replay it.
The temperature at our last conversation was 42 degrees.
Thanks, Anna. Appreciate that.
You are welcome. Is there any other information I can give before you begin?
Still no life forms. We're closer now. You can't find anything, Anna?
Sensors only go 500 yards from ship. Atmospheric interference will not allow further scans. Only life forms found are squad here.
It's a beautiful day. Let's get a move on.
Okay.
I think Cormag would probably be the last one down the ramp, which is odd. He's usually the first. He's not a fan of the cold, so he kind of rests his hand on his scatter gun, and over his shoulder he has a large cast-off piece of landing gear from some sort of ship. He tightens his grip on it and slowly takes after his companions as they walk away.
Okay. So what would you guys be going in single file? Would you be going shoulder to shoulder? How would you make this trek?
I would imagine that Mick has taken the lead on this, kind of percepting forward. And that's a good question. Hannah, I don't know if she's speaking aloud, but do we have beacons for her to sense if we're in trouble? But I think the answer is no because of the atmospheric.
Yeah, Anna knows everything that is going on with you guys up to 500 yards away. Anything more than 500 yards, it's pretty much blocked. You might be able to get minimal, every other second or something like that, transmission sent, but something in the atmosphere or within this moon is blocking the transmissions.
Okay. Yeah, and Mick has taken the lead, and he is well aware of the strength of each individual. And there was one instance where he tried to be like a big brother to Hannah, and she told him in no uncertain terms that she could definitely take care of herself as Red Astra was circling her hands and her eyes were glowing red. So he was definitely put in his place. So he walks forward determined to find out what's going on at this outpost.
Okay. And who would be following him? Hannah, would you? Or Baron? Or Megan?
Seeing that Mick is taking point, Hannah will follow, but probably keep a decently close pace to Maddox.
Okay. And Baron, you said you're going to be bringing up the rear?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that I'm walking in a straight line. I picture Hannah kind of following in Mick's footsteps so she doesn't have to make her own, and I'm all over the place. I'm getting blown around by the wind. I'm falling into snow drifts. I'm having a rough time.
Okay. So for the first 15 or 20 minutes, guys, this is just all you see. Snow is your life. You're trudging through several feet of soft snow, fresh snow, just due to the weight of your suits and your equipment, your packs. There's obviously, hard snow underneath, but it's rough going. It takes you 20, 25 minutes just to go a mile. As the colony comes into view, you notice 3 different entrances at the bottom of this thing. One of them would be the equivalent of probably like an elevator shaft, like a lift. One would be a service lift, and the other one would be stairs. And this would be probably 10 flights of stairs to get you up. These have key card entrance keypads to get in, and they are metal doors. This is stuff that you have seen before. You are fairly familiar with it.
So as Mick gets close enough, he kind of takes next to a drift. He's kind of nailed down on one knee as he's looking at it, and he hears the people coming as he's also scanning back to make sure that everybody is keeping up. And well, what do you think? You want to try the service elevator or the stairs? Or I'm thinking the stairs would be easiest because we don't have to rely on the getting stuck in a elevator shaft. Last time we got stuck in a lift, well, that sucked.
Yeah, I have no intention of getting stuck in another lift, even if somebody, and she looks back over her shoulder at Corey, hasn't had the beans recently.
Corey, he, what? You don't like the smell?
Maddox
Corey
would start
just became a
chanting.
pirate. Sorry.
Maddox would start chanting, "Beans, beans, the musical fruit," and then.
And Mick picks it up and looks over at him and says, "The more you eat, the more you toot.
God.
The more you toot, the better you feel. So let's get our asses up and get moving."
So we are a elite search and rescue squad on an Arctic moon, trudging through snow in the biting cold, wind whipping, standing at the bottom of a mining colony, and we're singing "Beans, Beans, the Musical Fruit." I will say, as a GM, I didn't plan for that contingency, ladies and gentlemen.
Can we give inspiration?
Not a chance in hell.
Oh, damn.
So, as your lovely melody ends, you are now standing at the base of these entrances. These entrances are probably about 50, 60 feet apart. Which one are you guys going to try to open? What? Good night.
I am going to start working toward the stair entrance. And
Okay.
while I'm walking towards that, I am going through the pulse array to see if there's any pulses in the area that I might be able to find. Do you want a tech roll to see if I find anything?
Sure, absolutely.
That is a total of a 23.
You don't hear any voices, but you do hear static. Like somebody maybe has their whisper link on, but they're not saying anything. Like kind of like when you hold like the walkie-talkie, button down. So it's on, but you're not hearing anything. But you do find a signal. It just doesn't tell you anything. And you can point that signal to approximately 400 feet away up in the colony. And how would you be going about trying to get in this, Dave? You have a locked door with a number keypad.
So as one of the abilities, I have lock breaker. So as a bonus action, I can use my arc tool to open the lock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up to the keypad, and they're pretty familiar. This one's about 3 years old. They came out with a newer model about 6 months ago, but I'm familiar with this one. So immediately I begin pulling up the array within the arc tool to find the algorithm, and then I am going to patch in so that I can scramble the code and then break the, get the keypad open so the lock can open the lock.
Okay. Do you have to make a roll for that, or can you just do it?
Tech. So
let's go with a DC 12.
Okay. That is a total of an 8 this time. So it looks like it's scrambling at me, and basically it just seems to be spinning with probably, what is it? Green Astra, the spinning wheel.
Yeah.
We're all familiar with it.
I imagine that maybe the interference in the atmosphere may be interrupting it right now. Maybe it's just not used to it. Seeing that on his first attempt and seeing in Mick's face that he was not successful. You guys have seen him do this before, and it's almost always easy for him. But this time he wasn't successful. Would any of you make an attempt or try a different way to get in there, or what would you do? And the closest platform is about 50 feet above you.
Mechanical question for you.
Sure.
One of the Mancer spells is Chrono Burn.
Mm-hmm.
And the description is you use Astra to rapidly age an item, and if it immediately gains the worn condition. If it's already worn, it becomes malfunctioning. If it's malfunctioning, it becomes broken.
Mm-hmm.
Can that be applied to this lock?
You want to cast Chrono Burn on the lock? Oh, you mean on the keypad?
Yeah, like on the door handle, and essentially like rust it out.
Okay, well, do you want to do it to the door or to the keypad? Because the keypad is actually off to the right. It's kind of like an access panel. So I think you can absolutely do it to either one. It's up to you. But you can absolutely catch that. Absolutely.
Then I'll do it on the door.
Okay.
Like around the door handle.
Does it have a size for that spell?
It does not.
Okay.
It says choose a single. The description does say choose a single weapon or suit of armor. But
I'll allow it. I mean, you can't just do it on weapons or armor. I think that you could, just with the generalized usage of it, I think you could age anything that you want. So let's say you can do 1 square foot, maybe 1.5 square feet on that door. And the door is sitting probably 8 feet tall and probably 10 feet wide. And it meets in the middle. So it's like a half.
Okay, if it's one of those kinds of doors, then maybe I'll do it on the keypad if no one else has a better idea.
Okay.
She'll wait to see if anyone else speaks up. She'll wait to see if anyone else speaks up before she breaks everything.
Okay. Maddox or Corey, would you guys be doing anything as she walked over? And you're noticing Mick cussing at the lock?
I think Corey would approach. If she does use Chrono Burn, would I be able to maybe like wedge something in there to pry this open? To assist her.
You can try anything that you want, buddy. You can try anything that you want.
I'm thinking just maybe before anyone does anything, I will kind of joke to Mick. I can hit it. I'm pretty good at hitting stuff. But I won't actually go about doing that. That is more of something I probably say every time Mick manages to not get in on the first try. So not often, but it has come up before.
Okay. So yeah, I assume that you have seen Hana use this spell before, so you may kind of notice what she's doing. But what about Maddox? Well, would she be doing anything, or would she just be doing Snow Angels again?
I think at this point, seeing Hannah walk over away from the group and see maybe the red Astra start to kind of form in her hand, she would also go over to her and just have this red Astra also in her hand and just say, "Can I help? I can help." And because I also have Chronoburn, so I would just try to aid her in getting this door effed up.
So we have, if it's worn, it goes to malfunctioning, and from malfunctioning, it goes to broken, correct? I believe that's what this... Okay. So Megan and Taylor, describe to us what it looks like when you cast dual Chronoburn on this door keypad, this door lock, in the middle of the snow at the bottom of a mining colony entrance. What does this look like when you guys are doing it, and what happens to the keypad?
Well, as they're approaching, as everybody is starting to talk around me, I was like, fucking hell. I mean, the first time Mick fucks up and you guys all have to crowd me like a bunch of rats. I see how it is. Fine. Help yourself. And he steps back and he just turns around and kicks the snow.
If Anna were here, she would point out that that is not the first time, but the 7th time you've failed. Just saying.
Racist son of a...
So what does this look like, guys? Megan and Taylor, describe this to us. What happens to the lock? Don't do anything with the door, but you can tell me whatever you think would happen to the keypad and the surrounding area.
Hannah puts her hand up, and it's just this palm full of like a ball of red Astra. And as she holds her hand up to it and concentrates, it turns into this kind of wide beam, and it circles the lock, and you see it. The numbers on it are starting to fade, and the plastic's looking a little aged, and maybe the metal's starting to rust a little. And then she nods over at Maddox.
And then Maddox, it would look very similar, but I can imagine that the keypad would glow a little bit a brighter red, and maybe even these veins would come out, illuminating where the cables come out of this keypad, and they would just glow this red in behind the steel, and this keypad would just start, just even more looking aged, just crumpling up even, and it would just, I can imagine it would just be super bright. And
Okay. I think that there'd also be around the surrounding area, there'd just be rust, and pieces of it would begin to flake off. And like I said, those wires would pop out. The actual panel with the keys, some of the keys would fall off, like the number keys, and like fall to the ground. Now, Dave, you're watching this, and as you see the guts of this thing kind of pop out the bottom, the door, as you guys stop and that red glow fades, the door still doesn't open. But Dave, with your perception, you see sticking out of the bottom of those things the two wires that you need. The two wires that you need to splice to open that door. Give me a technology roll with advantage if you'd like to do it. For a DC 10.
That's an 18.
Okay. So you see these wires pop out, and these are what you need after they're done doing their Astra stuff. What would you say, or would you just run up there and do it and kind of save some face, or what would that look like?
Yeah, as he's watching this and sort of just kind of stewing in his own, pride, if you will, or hit to the pride, he's kind of looking at Corey, and he's like, kind of admiring the two Mansers working together on it, and then as he sees it, he's like, as they step back and checking over what they've done, I'm like, see, you still need Mick. And he steps down and he plugs in the two wires to the arc tool, and then he begins teamwork. Who said it didn't work?
And as you do that, the doors you just hear kind of a zzz, and they kind of slide a little bit, and they almost seem to get like stuck, and then they slowly open, revealing a room probably 20 feet by 20 feet, long and wide, and a stairwell going up at the very back. This room is dark. It's cold. And as you peer a little bit further at the very first step, you see just kind of a pile of something. It looks like a jacket or something. But it's too dark in there to really see what it is. But it looks like there's some type of an object kind of outlined at the bottom of those stairs. Baron, what would you be doing right now?
I think since the doors opened, I've kind of taken a little bit more of a hands-on approach to the situation. And I've probably taken a glow rod out of my bag to kind of shed some light on the situation, maybe take a few steps in to kind of get a better look at this pile. Okay.
And how far away do you think or how far would you go in? Like how close to this pile?
How far did you say the pile was inside?
It's about 20 feet. About 20 feet from where you are. You're getting some kind of ambient light from the outside, but there's no windows once you open this door. It's not really illuminated very well. It would be considered like almost nighttime in there.
Okay, so I'd probably say 12 feet in, about 8 feet away from this.
And with that glow rod or glow stick, you would, as you got in, you would notice this was a jacket, and a patch on the left shoulder says Umbra Forge Mining. As you look closer, you see that this is or was a person. You see a jacket, you see arms, you see a face, but you don't see anything below the waist except a frozen pool of blood and a frozen corpse. And you can see, as you get even closer, that frozen kind of blood, there's a trail that goes up those stairs. And there's handprints on those stairs as if this poor soul dragged himself down these stairs only to freeze to death with nothing below the waist.
I think that Cormag would actually probably go to like lift him up maybe to get a better look at him, and he would turn around and call back to the others. Poor soul didn't make it. Froze right here on the steps.
As you try to pull him up, it would actually be really tough. But you would kind of hear the breaking. You know how like if you try to pull something out of ice, the blood is basically ice now. So you kind of hear the as you pull him up and kind of breaking sound. And as you do, what part of him would you be trying to grab, Baron, to lift him up? His arm, his head, his jacket?
I probably grabbed his arm more so by the jacket. So honestly, I'm probably like ripping his arm off inside the jacket as the jacket detaches from his body.
Give me a strength roll, please.
You're unmuted.
Oh, I got a 20 with modifier.
You ripped that sucker's arm clean off.
Buddy, what are you doing, man? Come on. We got ladies present.
You know how it is, Mick.
So
overdo it sometimes.
So as you do that, it stops you at first, and you got to give a big yank. And with that, this guy is so frozen through that instead of pulling the body up, you literally detach his arm, and you stand there looking back at your crewmates with this corpse's arm in your hand, just like, hey guys, how would the other three of you react? Oh, that's fun.
So Mick is just kind of, after he said that, he's holding his arms up like, what the hell are you doing, buddy? He just kind of sidles over to the side and just kind of wipes his brow as he starts rubbing his hands together, and he he kind of clicks his hands, and this form of basically he's creating a spheroid, and a defense spheroid begins flying over like a drone, if you will. But it kind of looks like a square object, but one side has a shield on it. So a defense spheroid, since Corey seems to be leading the pack. When he uses it, he can roll it. I can roll a d8, or he can roll a d8, and he gets that added to his AC for one round.
Awesome. So what about Maddox and Hannah? What would you guys be? I mean, you've all seen death. I mean, you've all killed before. Well, maybe not Maddox, but I don't know. You guys figure that out. But I mean, this you've seen corpses before. This isn't that weird. Anyone?
Hana, when she sees him like rip the arm off and he kind of gives it a half wave, she just puts her hand on her forehead and rubs at her temple a little. Here we go again.
Maddox would walk up to Corey and kind of hold out her hand as if like in like a shake, like just hold it out towards the hand and just look at Corey expectantly.
I don't even think Corey would hesitate. He would go right for this arm handshake with Maddox.
And Mick just shakes his head and he's like, "Oh fuck, new levels!" And he just starts walking down the stairs like, you know what? As he's walking off, he's like, "The scrug was one thing, okay? You ripped both arms off on that one, but this is a human being. Have some respect." He's walking ahead a little bit.
Megan and Baron, you both get a point of inspiration for the corpse handshake.
I think I probably share Maddox's kind of just blank smile looking at Mick, just to further solidify the childlike nature of us both.
Okay.
And Maddox would stare down at the hand and just say, Oh, they're coming. Oh, they're coming. And she would just start weeping and just still shaking this hand and just keep saying, "The beast will not stop. The beast will not stop."
It's not funny anymore, Maddox.
So,
Corey, she's not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Hey now, Maddox, they're coming. She'll be coming round the mountain. Yeah?
And she just looks at you and she says, No, they're coming. And then she gets even closer and just whispers, "They're coming from under the ground. I can hear them. They're coming." And she like gets back and looks at you and just and she follows Mick.
And Mick is fidgeting with his arc tool, actually, and because he is fucking creeped out. This not the first time that Maddie has acted weird, but in this echoing chamber of the voice and the high-pitched laughter, it's actually creeping him out. And he's actually not paying attention to his surroundings as he's slowly walking down or up the stairs, whichever direction, and he's looking for more pulses, just randomly. And whether or not they're there, if he finds more of what he already found, that's fine. He's just, basically he concentrates for a minute, and if he finds a pulse, he can listen to it as long as it's available, and then he can move on to another one as long as he works on it for a minute. So.
Okay. Hold on one second for me. So I assume that the rest of you would kind of go in, and like I said, the only thing you really see is this corpse, now a one-armed And that's pretty much the only appendage that you see is the one arm that he still has attached. The legs are missing. You see he's been disemboweled. He was obviously a mining worker with the arm patch. You know, typical human, nothing crazy. But all you do, you can look up and you can see 10 flights of stairs straight up. And there's one light all the way at the top. What would the four of you like to do?
Just real quick, I'm probably going to toss this arm back into the pile of what was left of this guy. But did I happen to see anything of importance on him, like a name tag or?
Did you check?
Yeah, just kind of like to, before everyone walks away, take a glance here. His coat.
He has a badge on his coat. It's attached. Would you like to actually check it out, like bend down and look through it? Or just want to do a kind of a cursory glance?
Just a cursory glance to kind of evaluate its importance, like if it's got like a barcode or something that.
Yes,
but
it has. It looks like your typical ID badge. You would be familiar with these. That these are very similar to the ones that you use when you are at your home base. That's what you use to get into doors that are locked. You need certain security clearances. It would be just kind of that type of an ID badge.
Then I think I might take out my knife and just kind of cut it loose to keep. I know Mick probably can handle any of the doors we come across, but if we can save some time, I'm sure that would be of benefit to us all.
Okay. And the name that you see on there is going to be C. Racine, Racine, and first initial C. And underneath it says foreman. Okay. Would anybody else like to do anything to the body? Baron, would you do anything else to it?
No, that's all Corey would do. But I think I would, after removing it, kind of go up to Mick and, take my place in front as the shield.
Okay. And up the stairs, it's really only going to be big enough for single file. So who would lead, and what would be the marching order if everybody was going to go up the stairs?
I think I would go first.
Okay. Who'd go next?
For now, I can take about 5 feet behind him.
Okay.
Trying to perceive. Now that I've had a minute to get away, I'm at the next landing, I would think, and I'm kind of around the corner, and I'm messing with my arc tool because it, brings a sense of stability to me because that was creepy. So, by this time he's back to normal and he's got his wits about him again. So he's moving up behind him.
And Hannah or Maddox, who's going last?
Hannah intends to go last. And she'll gesture for Maddox to go up the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah, Maddox seemed to totally go back to her normal kind of crazy self and just stick near Hannah.
Okay. So Baron, would you be going up quickly? Would you be taking your time? Would you describe to me how you would be leading? Would you be trying to just run up there quick? Are you really trying to go slow and take everything in, or?
I'm probably not in any rush. From the just environmental context, it doesn't seem like there's probably going to be too many survivors. So I don't really think the urge or drive to run up the stairs is there.
Okay.
That being said, I am a bigger guy, so maybe I am taking steps, 2 at a time, just in a natural stride, keeping a couple feet in front of everyone else to just kind of approach caution with caution.
Okay. Well, as you go up, you get up about 4 flights of stairs until you see another frozen corpse. Same deal, except this one has all of his parts. The only thing, the cause of death is pretty obvious. He has a single bullet hole right here. And his badge is missing.
I would be the first one to see him, correct?
Yes, you'd be the one that sees him as you turn the corner.
So probably to avoid grossing everybody out again, I would maybe kneel at just kind of assess him real quick. And as Mick approached, I would point to his missing badge and kind of look back, and I pulled this one off the other one. He's missing his, and kind of hand him the torn badge to. I'm sure he could probably hold on to it for better use than I could.
Okay. Would you guys just pass this corpse? Just keep going?
I'd like to kneel down and search the corpse.
Sure. You find a pistol at his belt with red Astra energy cells as their modification. You find a wallet with the name Mackenzie Anders, Anders. Basically, it would be the equivalent of a driver's license. It's his ID badge, and it shows that his home was basically a slum in on Bastion Prime.
Now the pistol with red Astra shells. How many shots is that?
10.
Okay, and that is something that only the Treader could use. Trying to figure
as
out
long
this
as
simple weapon.
whatever handgun. I mean, it would just be a regular handgun. So whoever you can use a handgun could use it.
Okay.
But beyond the wallet and the pistol, you don't find anything of consequence. The only other thing you notice, if you're really looking, is he's wearing a chain with some type of a symbol that you're not familiar with on it.
I'm going to try to pocket the chain.
Okay. Would you show it to your companions, or would you just grab it?
No, I'm going to grab it. Sleight of hand, so I got a 15.
Okay. Go for it. You can do that. So you have just stolen everything that this corpse has on him. Are you moving forward?
Well, I'm going to hold up the gun and I'm going to say, well, it looks like it was a Mackenzie Phillips in the wallet. And does anyone need a pistol? It's got red Astra shells in it. Otherwise, I'll take it.
Anyone?
Maddox
Corey,
goes to. Oh,
I'm not taking the gun. If that's, I was just gonna.
Maddox goes to reach for it, and I'll let. I don't know if you guys want to react to that.
You know, Maddox, you do really well without guns.
And she kind of looks back and then smiles and then holds up her hand and like some red Astra starts, going through her fingers and stuff. And she's like, oh, okay.
I got this. And he puts it in his coat. And then while he's at it, he feels his flask and he pulls it out and he kind of takes a swig real quick and puts it back and gets moving on. He's going to hold on to the ID, though, because it's evidence to take back to maybe the family and stuff.
Okay. And as you guys keep going up, this stairwell. The other flights don't show anything. Every once in a while, you'll see like a bloody handprint just frozen either on the rail, on the stairs, or on the wall. But you make it all the way up to the platform. I would imagine, Corey, you're a little out of breath at this point. And I think the rest of you are probably a little bit more in shape than the Treader. And a very similar keypad and lock are in front of you. What would you guys like to do? You know that this is probably the entrance to the main kind of hallway of the colony.
I'd probably just step to the side as we got to the door, giving Mick some room to do his thing.
And so Mick is, he's got his arc tool in one hand, but he's looking at something else in his right hand. He's actually been kind of glancing at that pendant, trying to figure out what it might be or something. But he sees this and steps forward to check out the lock. Actually,
Okay.
he tries the key badge first.
Well, when he's looking, when he's got that locket in his hand, especially Maddox, with your perception, you would notice it. Would you try to figure out what it is, or would you just kind of ignore it, being distracted by?
I'm not flaunting it, but at the same time, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm acting like I'm playing with my arc tool, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, her passive perception is 15. She'd notice.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would try to make eye contact with, or Maddox would try to make eye contact with Mick, and just try to look at him, like look at him, look down at the pendant, and then look back at him, and then just kind of tilt her head to the side. I'm not saying anything, but there's a certain intelligence behind her eyes. Like she's almost like asking, like, what is that, without trying to alert the others in case he wanted to keep it private.
So I would imagine that as we're walking, we're all kind of like looking up and looking around. And so as he looks around, he sees her do that, and he just kind of sheepishly puts it in his pocket.
And Dave, for your own knowledge, this is the symbol that it's in. Basically, this is some type of a silverish metal, just a basic shape. Okay. It's obviously a little bit more ornate than that, because I suck at drawing, but that's about the approximate shape. It's basically two spheres, one triangle, and like a 3 rays coming out of the big sphere.
And I've never seen anything like it before.
Give me you can either give me an Arcana or history check.
No.
Okay.
So I was going with Astra, which would be Arcana, but I got a 2, so that would be a 5 total. So
yeah, no, you have no idea what this is. Nothing comes to your mind.
Would Maddox have seen the shape, or just seen that pendant, that he had the pendant?
You're only like 5 feet away from him. You would see the shapes.
Okay. Could I also just make the check to see if?
Yeah, you would need to do an Arcana roll.
Okay. So that is a 16.
Okay. You recognize this. I don't know how or where you recognize it from, but this is a symbol for a group that calls themselves the Founders. You know, this is a group that, like yourself, seeks to understand the Astra in the universe and what it means, where it comes from. And most of them are Mancers. That you do have some others that in various other professions, but the Mancers are the big amount, or the big number in that. And you know that you were once a part of this group. Maddox, you were found to be a little bit, well, wild. The Astra that your body was infused with, you used to have a lot of trouble controlling it. And that anytime you got emotional, maybe you hurt a few people. And these Founders thought you were unsafe. And although you learned a lot from them, you are no longer a part of that group. So I don't know if you would say anything or do anything with seeing that, recognizing it, but
I think Maddox would just begin to cry just silently, just ever so often you would just hear like these little quick intakes of breath for anyone standing close to her. She's obviously trying not to let anyone else see. But other than that, she doesn't say anything.
Okay. Dave just went AFK for just a minute. Oh, he's back. So Dave, with seeing that, she didn't say anything about her recognizing it to you. So how would you want to try to get through that door?
So I want to walk up to the door, and I'm going to try the badge first.
Okay. So you hold the badge up there to where it and just kind of scan it.
Mm-hmm.
And the doors open freely. And you can feel the warmth coming out. It's cold where you are right now. There's no heat. There's no kind of ventilation where you are. It's frigid. But the air coming out of that door is just, it feels like a tropical island.
Okay, so at this point, he's going to unbutton his coat and step through and take a look around.
Okay. And it looks like the power has been turned off. It's just about pitch black again. It's you again from where you are, that light that hangs above you is putting light probably about 10 feet in, but you don't see anything except just your typical kind of graded floor on the bottom, and just dark gray metal. That's all you can really see, unless one of you has a light source that you'd like to light up.
I think that Corey had a light source, but it's probably spilling into the room, and so I kind of, Corey, bring that light in here. See if there's a computer panel nearby.
Okay. And Corey, that glow stick that you have, or the glow rod, how much light does that give off? It should be in the playtest materials. Let's just say that it gives off 20 feet. It's really not a huge deal.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for it, but it's a little farther down.
It's fine. So let's just say 20 feet. So yeah, if you want to go in, but the one thing, as you walk in, Corey, how far do you want to walk in?
How far did Mick walk in?
He didn't at all. He just is kind of standing
in
at
the door.
Yeah, I kind of stuck my head in and was looking left to right.
I think like as he's maybe sticking his head in, I just got the glow stick over his head to illuminate the entrance.
This is kind of a larger room, guys. You don't really see anything. Maybe you see like a turned over chair, maybe some papers on the ground. But it's all just like metal. You don't really see anything in the first 10 feet and 10 or 15 feet.
Well, with that being the case, I'd probably scoot past Mick and kind of walk maybe 10 feet into the room.
Okay.
Just so I can kind of gauge what's around me.
And as you do, you actually hear something as you walk in, and it's very faint, but you do hear something. And this is what you hear.
Only he hears that?
It's very faint, but yes, you guys, I would say that you and Maddox probably just hear a little bit, but he can absolutely hear that though. But you guys with your passive perception, you probably could. Hana probably not, as she's the furthest back. But Corey would absolutely hear this most of all. You would even feel kind of the vibration from that low rumble. How would you react to that, Corey?
I feel like, Corey's shoulders would tense up. If you could see it, the hairs are sticking up on the back of his neck. He's kind of just looking to see if in the general direction of the sound, if he can make out what's making the noise. I probably would, give a motion to the party behind me to not necessarily stop, but come a little closer and help me figure that this is out?
So you can see about 15 feet ahead. You don't see anything, but you can hear that sound. And as if they come closer, they can hear that sound too. And you almost hear like a munching and a crunching and a breaking. It sounds like something's eating. How close would all of you get to him? And what would you be doing? Would you keep all walking together, Baron, or would you walk ahead, or what is your plan after everyone's with you and can hear this?
Well, the first thing, after the sound was first made, Mick actually kind of whispered into the room. He's like, that wasn't just beans you ate. That was some sort of back alley bastion. I don't know, man.
Back alley bastion barbecue.
And he starts edging forward because at first the edges of the sound, it almost sounded like Corey's stomach kind of growling. But as he starts getting closer, he starts to realize what he's heard, and he's kind of like waving his arm for Hannah and Maddie to come.
And Hannah, you don't really hear it until you get up, but what would you be doing? Would you guys take out your weapons? Would you just stand there? I mean, at this point, you're standing there with a glow stick in your hand. So what are you going to be doing? With Taylor, what are you going to be doing?
Are there still stairs going up?
No, you guys have already...
This is the top level.
Yeah, you're at the top level. You're in the first door, about 15 feet into that first room with where all the warm air was coming from.
Yeah, the warm air. Yeah, it felt like tropical. So Hannah is maybe going to turn around and close the door behind her very quietly. And if there's a lock, she's going to turn it.
Absolutely. And as you do so, the ambient light from the outside is gone. The glow rod is the only light source now. So you kind of have a green tinge to everything.
She turns the lock, and she doesn't like the idea of something coming in behind them.
Okay.
And then the green light becomes tinged a little red as her hands start to glow.
Okay. And are you preparing something, or just getting ready?
She's preparing an Astra Bolt. She knows what crunching sounds like. She's seen dogs eat leftovers in an alleyway.
Okay.
This sounds bigger than that, and so she's getting that ready.
Okay. And Maddox, seeing this Astra kind of appear in her hands, and you know what she's doing. You've seen it before, so you know that she's getting ready for a fight, and you can hear this too. What would you be doing?
Maddox would reach to her neck and kind of take out this rather large looking rock crystal type thing, and she would begin to whisper. She's like, "My love, my dear, please help me, please, my love, please help." And she would actually, her hands would glow this bright green, and a light would be emitted. She would kind of take it off and hold this ball, and she would cast torchlight.
Okay.
Which is it sheds bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 20 feet.
Okay.
And then she would kind of move away from Corey in order to maximize the amount of light.
Okay. So I'm figuring that you're going to move off to the right. Kind of, yeah. Corey's more towards the left side of this room. You're going to be more towards the center, and together you're going to illuminate probably another 50 feet of this room. And as you go a little bit to the right, on the faint edge of your dim light, you see something shining. You see just kind of this undulating, writhing mass. And as you take a few more steps forward, you see that this mass is probably maybe 5 feet long, maybe 2 feet high off the ground. It looks like a giant slug or something like that. But you can see that it is sitting on top of another one of these Umbra Forge workers, and the crunching that you're hearing is apparently this thing chewing on this thing's corpse. And as it comes into light, it actually looks up, and you see it open its maw, and it has all these kind of circular spiky teeth. Roll for initiative. Just put it in chat for me, guys. Oh, Dave, that's terrible rolls. Okay. I need Taylor and Megan. Well, you guys are lucky. All right, so Megan, I just need yours. Okay, so we are going Baron. So we're going Corey, Maddox, Hannah, Mick, and then this thing. So he only rolled a 2. So Corey, you see this. I mean, with her illuminating it, you can see it. You're probably 30 feet away. What would you like to do? Besides unmute yourself.
I think as Maddox starts to see this, she might have let out some sort of like low gasp or some sort of just she's seen something. So I would maybe toss my glow stick on the ground and draw my short scatter gun.
Okay.
That's got a range of about 30 feet. So
okay.
How far away would you say this is? About 50 feet?
About 30 feet. No, about 30 feet.
Okay. I'll probably move my movement. Move up closer to Maddox so she's not in my line of fire before taking a shot at this thing.
All right. Roll to hit.
I have, as a treader, advantage on enemies that have not attacked yet.
Okay.
First roll is a 16. Second roll is a 24.
Okay, both hit. Roll for damage.
Okay. For a grand total of 7 damage.
7 damage. Okay. So describe what this looks like. You're just kind of running over, just kind of quickly trying to get 2 shots off. But I'm imagining it just grazes him because you don't do that much damage.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's because I'm kind of still far away. Maybe the pellets spread out too far.
Okay. And what you do see though is when you do hit him, you see this kind of black ichor looking blood start to drip out, and when it hits the ground, you hear a tss, and you can see it kind of bubbling on the metal as if it's some type of an acid.
I think I would kind of finish my turn, preparing to reload, kind of calling out, "Don't get its blood on you. It seems to be corrosive."
Okay. And here in that, Maddox, it's your turn.
Maddox would actually, it would be more of a gas. It would be more than a gas. It would be full on scream. And she would take a step back, and it's almost like she didn't even think. She would just put up her hands like in defense almost, and immediately above the worm would start this red encircling energy, and then all at once this column of crackling, almost red lightning would come down, and she would cast static field.
Okay, what is the static field? 10 feet circle?
10-foot radius, 30-foot high cylinder.
Okay, so you can absolutely stay out of that. So, okay. 1 second.
You have to make a dex. The creature must make a dexterity saving throw.
He's resetting because he's starting to get crackly.
Mm.
Is that any better?
No.
Still a little crackly.
What about that, guys? Better? Okay. Yeah, as I said, about 2 hours in, it tends to do that. But I needed that for the AI voice when we started. So, okay. So you're going to be casting that. So he needs to make a dex save. What's your DC?
My DC is 14.
Okay. He rolled an 8, so he missed. What's the damage?
3d8.
Whew.
That's
Okay, roll.
14.
Okay. So what does this look like as this red crackling lightning just descends in this circle around him?
I can imagine that the red lightning would come down and almost paralyze the worm in whatever position it was in, and would kind of start twitching up and like making these really spastic movements and just start writhing. But it's just so spastic as its muscles like clench and unclench it, and so yeah, and it would just illuminate the whole room. I would imagine just this bright column.
So you have this red light like illuminating further down, and then you have the green glow rod there. Hannah, what would you like to do?
So Hana has the red hands, and she kind of puts her palms together, and this beam, this kind of bolt of red shoots out, and does a 21 hit?
Yes, absolutely. The AC on this thing's only 13.
Okay, so it's going to do only 8 damage, but it is outlined in red now, and the next attack has advantage.
Awesome. Mick, you have advantage. You're muted.
Perfect. So, Mick is, has it been longer than 10 minutes since I brought up that spheroid?
No, probably just about 7 or 8. Hadn't been too long.
Okay, so since it was used on Corey, whenever you want to use it, as soon as you burn it, just roll a d8 and add that to your AC. So, all right.
At least for the next 2 minutes.
Well, it adds it, yeah, and then it lasts for 1 round after you use it. But all right, so Mick pulls out his scatter gun, and he's like, "Bloody hell, lady, keep it down. You can't let them know we're here."
Kind of too late for that, just saying.
Yeah, well. All right, so he got a total of an 18 to hit.
Hits.
And that is a total of 12 points of damage.
12, okay. All right, so again, all you guys are just kind of pummeling this thing, and it's definitely hurt. You can see this kind of black ichor oozing out from it. And I think that Corey's probably the closest one. And as this thing kind of, it's kind of it's like a cross between a slug and a worm. It's slug-like. It looks kind of like a, massive gook, and it's all slimy and everything. But it moves a lot faster than that. And it's going to actually lunge at you, Corey. And it's actually going to hit. Roll the 19. And you're going to take 11 piercing damage as this thing latches on to your left shoulder. But while it's on you, you're also going to take 4 acid damage as this black ichor just kind of drips onto you as it goes into your skin. It's now kind of, you're not restrained or anything, but it's just kind of stuck there. Like it's still on the ground, but its mouth is attached to your arm. It's basically like standing up on its tail. And we go back to you.
All right. One question.
Yep.
Is there life support in this building? Like,
Yes.
by this thing biting me, I'm not like getting sucked out into the vacuum.
No, no. It's just a creature.
I already took my roll. I figure instead of reloading, I getting latched onto, go right for my club and go for a melee swing as a kind of a reaction. I rolled a 15 to hit and 15 damage.
Wow. Okay. So describe how this thing that's attached to your shoulder, that you whack this thing off of you with this club and kill it. So describe what that looks like.
Honestly, it probably looks very like a frantic swing, like a bee flying about you, and you're trying to get it away. This, and I'm kind of laying into it as hard and as quickly as I can, because no one likes slimy things on them. So I probably just kind of pummeled the jelly of this slug until it detaches from me.
Okay. So this thing, I just imagine you just get it a real good whack on the head, and it just kind of falls down in a thud, and just kind of, and it just kind of squishes, and you can still hear and see the little droplets of this black ichor just, and as it falls, everything is silent as you all just kind of look at each other like, what the hell happened? And that's where we're gonna take a 5-minute break, guys. All right. Sorry, it went a little bit long. You needed it. All right, so get a drink, bio. Hope everybody's having a good time, and we'll be right back.
If you're talking, I can't hear you. That might be on my end, but I'm not sure.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, that's weird. I had to put Reaper back on. Very weird. Anytime I try to use the Reaper stuff, and if it's more than a 2-hour game, it jacks it all up. So it's weird. I don't know why it does that. It's probably because I have a shit laptop. But you feel better, Megan? You okay? Okay. I'm sorry. I know it. I usually go about halfway. So I just wanted to finish that one little encounter before we got into anything. So,
Fun fact, really don't like slugs in real life, so
Never put like salt on them as a kid. I used to do that as a kid. I'm a terrible person.
I live in Michigan, so it's a struggle when you go in the lakes and stuff.
You should talk to Jake, man. He lives in Michigan.
I haven't talked to him much. I've been wanting to get into a game with him, but I swear every time he posts interest, I'm running something or got something going on. But I really would like to talk to him a bit.
Well, if you guys are close, you never know. I know he runs a bunch of games at home too. He has a home group. Some of us don't. Anyway,
yeah, he's also close to Nate from WASD20. So
yeah, Nate. Yeah, Nate's in that area too. I don't think he's in Michigan. I think Nate's like right across the border. But I can't keep track of everybody, man. We've got AppTap people everywhere, even Canada. So, so I hope everybody's having fun. Just kind of letting you guys RP it. Megan, this character is insane. I'm loving what you're doing with her. And I'm loving how Hana's like calming you down. It's like River from Firefly and her brother. It's really an interesting role play. I kind of want to know more, actually. But anyway.
Yeah, and actually I do want to know more because Mick, while he's seen it happen before, actually right after that fight, he says, "What the fuck were those things? Fucking space worms?"
Well, then let's get right back into it. How would you respond, guys?
Maddox would just kind of look to Mick and just kind of she starts like quivering, like just shaking and just staring at you, and she's just like, no, those weren't three little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and now is dead. Mama told the doctor, and the doctor said, save dear Hayden before he's dead. And she would kind of go up to you and just start yelling it right in your face. Just the same thing.
And right after he says it, he realizes what he just said, and he just kind of starts, puts his arms down to his side, and he just starts backing up. So he's kind of backing up away from you because he knows the best thing to do right now is just let it be.
Dave, give me a dexterity roll, please.
Oh, that's never good.
So as you back up away from Maddox, you're actually heading towards Baron, and you catch your heel on this dead slug, and you actually fall flat on your back on top of this thing, and you actually start to feel this kind of sizzling, and you actually take 3 points of acid damage as you lay on top of this slug covered in this black ichor as you fall prone.
And Maddox would immediately just jump on him and take out a handgun and just put it right to his forehead while screaming the last line, which Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, "Save dear Hayden before he's dead," and just scream that, and like shaking as this handgun is pressed to Mick's temple.
One thing, Hana, what would you do here?
There is like just a low kind of whistling tune as Hana is trying to kind of get the attention of Maddox, and this yellow energy tendril kind of comes out with the whistle, and it curls through the air, and it kind of grabs onto Maddox's two hands, and it just starts to slowly pull her back off real gentle, and Hana's still whistling, do 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 do, and that's her casting energy tendril.
Okay.
And actually, Mick, while this is happening, he's burning at the moment. So he actually kind of half in fight or flight and half of realizing that it is Maddox, and they're all kind of in this together. He kind of tries to do an acrobatic maneuver. Granted, he's not trained in acrobatics, but he is somewhat dexterous. And so he sees the tendrils, and he just tries to sort of flip her off of him so that he can at least get off of the acid.
Give me an acrobatics roll, buddy.
$19.
Okay. What does it look like, Dave?
So as she's starting to pull back, I'm going to sort of do it. It's almost, I'm imagining probably like a wrestling maneuver, as I basically take her arms and just sort of flip her over and use the energy tendrils to sort of shove her off of me. And I'm not trying to hurt her. I'm just trying to get her off of me. And I'm like, I'm burning. And I dexterously sort of do a somersault forward as she moves back with the tendrils. Okay. Unless she's going to fight it, which she might do an opposed check. But
she really can't, because she's caught in the in Hana's lasso of truth, basically. So Baron, what are you doing with all this as Dave's splayed out on the slug in front of you?
I think that the entire situation kind of catches me by surprise. So step back as they fall onto the slug and don't really get a chance to react before they all, do their own reactions in turn. So maybe I went to go grab Knuckles by the shirt to pull him off, and it really wasn't necessary. So I'm kind of just brushing these burning holes in his equipment, to maybe not even thinking about it burning me. I've got, calloused hands, so I'm just kind of that Nick would like.
All right. And Megan, would you be opposing? Okay, so why don't you do that? Roll with disadvantage for that opposing when she does the tendril. Yeah, when it comes to your spells, guys, I haven't memorized all the Harbinger playtest spells, so you're going to have to tell me what it does.
Oh, come on. I'm just kidding.
So, Megan, you rolled a nat 1 to oppose it. So, with that nat 1, what do you think happens?
I would think that maybe in Mick's attempt to try to get her off, he means well, but, with the acid, and he needs to get her off and get away from it. So he would push her off, but so much so that she would kind of land on her back, and I would think maybe into the worm, just on how it's positioned.
Okay. You only take 1 point of acid damage, but it's on your left palm, on the inside, like here on your left palm, and it leaves a mark and a very like blistering kind of burnt spot right there. So anything that you do going forward that involves you grabbing or holding something is going to be done with disadvantage for the duration of this session. Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, at that she would just start just kneeling and just staring at her hands and just crying and just say, "Save Hayden, save Eve, save Hayden, 3 little monkeys, save Hayden."
So as Corey is patting my back, I kind of step forward and I take her gun out of her hand gently. I'm not being aggressive in the maneuver, and I say, "I said 3 space sperms, okay? We need to get your ears checked the next time we get back to port." And I start helping you up.
What? Did you just say space sperms?
Yep. I'm trying to make it better for medics.
Okay, but you're making it worse for me. I don't know what to say to that, Dave. Okay, so we have Dave is now basically rolled off of this slug. Megan is being pulled away through by Hana's Astra tendril. Hana is humming, and Baron is just. Are you just chilling, man? What are you doing? I forgot what you said. I'm sorry.
I was kind of. I didn't really react in time to pull anyone off this slug. I'm kind of brushing the acid ecor off of.
Gotcha.
Maybe
okay.
I'm picking up my glow stick as well.
Oh, okay. So like I said, you guys are out of combat. You're good. What would you? Yeah, you have an opportunity to talk about what just happened, to talk about each other, to figure out a plan. Have at it. What would you guys like to do?
What is our door situation? We got the door behind us that we walked in,
which is now locked and closed by Hana. The only thing you see in this room, it looks like this was kind of like a mess hall or something. There's a bunch of tables. There's a bunch of chairs. And you do see, I'm imagining, Baron, that you're going to kind of walk around with your glow stick. You do see 2 or 3 other corpses, but all of them have chunks missing. Just either appendages or chunks from their side. Their clothes are torn. And it smells. As you get to the back end, I think where you just came in, it must have had a vent or something there because it didn't smell bad. But as you go further back in this mess hall, the stench of death just gets, the kind of rotten meat just gets stronger and stronger as you go down.
I like to think I probably don't do an in-depth search of anybody, but kind of just the same cursory glance, taking in the information, body parts they're missing, what might have been.
You see a few weapons. I mean, you see a few weapons kind of strewn on the ground. You do see some small ones. You see some bigger ones. But until you go over and pick them up, you wouldn't really know what they were.
Okay. I'll probably head over to just one of the closest one, small or big, whatever one I see first. That'd probably catch my attention.
Okay. First one you would see would just be a gentleman where he's actually missing his right shoulder and his head. His badge says S. Frazier, and what you would pick up for him would be a short scattergun with a flame tosser mod.
I guess I would kind of call out, "We got some weapons here. I'll gather them and bring them to you so you don't have to see the bodies." And kind of go about collecting them for the group.
You would also find a rifle with energy cells, with red Astra energy cells. You would find the equivalent of like a hatchet, but it would be glowing kind of with this strange kind of greenish blue glow. And it's actually going to be a barrow bladed hatchet. And then the only other thing you would find is two just basic revolvers. Nothing special about them, just revolvers.
I imagine I kind of just have them like in a heap in my arms.
Yeah.
And I come back to the group and kind of place them about in front of them.
Okay. And what would you guys say to him there?
One of those was a scatter gun with a blade attached to it, you said?
No, with a flame tosser. Basically, it's a flamethrower. You have once, I believe, per long or short rest. I forget what the mod is. You can basically do it. Basically, you can cast Burning Hands, the equivalent of Burning Hands, out of your gun once. The barrel blade hatchet actually kind of sucks the life out of whatever you hit with it, and if you kill something with it, you get some bonuses to that as well. You get some healing from it, and of course, you know what the energy cells are. They're astro damage instead of piercing damage.
You could probably use that barrel blade, Corey.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's really the only one I had any affinity for.
Okay. So as these go on, would you guys, I mean, what would you want to do here? I would think by now, Megan, that Maddox would have kind of calmed down a little bit. I would assume that the tendril would be let go, Hana, and you may still be humming just to, keep her calm. But would you guys say anything to each other? Or Megan, would you say anything to Hana? Or
I think that even though Maddox is definitely calmer now, she would just stick close to Hannah's side and just be saying the same things that she's been saying lately in different orders, in different yeah, just saying the same stuff, but definitely a lot quieter now.
Okay. Hana, what was your plan B now? I mean, what is your role on this team? You guys remember, you've gone through difficult things. You've been attacked by creatures before. You've seen corpses before. This is not all that odd. The only thing that's really different right now is that Maddox is acting very strange. So what would be your mission here? Where would you be headed? What would your plan be? How would you set that up?
Hana's wanting to get to maybe some sort of a control center, see if we can figure out what messages may have gone out, because the distress signal was terribly garbled. See if there's any record of what they might have found, what's gone wrong. But she's so distracted right now by Maddox, and she just has these flashbacks to being in a lab environment, to being strapped to a table, to having tubes of red and of yellow and of green pumped into her, and hearing the same kinds of sing-song voices and crazy laughter of other Mancers whose minds weren't strong enough. And she just looks at Maddox and then shakes her head and clears her throat. We need to find where they've kept records. That's our next order of business.
Okay. Would you guys agree with her? Would you respond?
Yeah, Mick's nodding his head. Yeah, we need to get to the... usually there's the control center nearby. At least if the layout is similar, the modular layout, we should have the control center close to the cafeteria.
From your knowledge, where would the control room be? The main control room from the mess hall. Where would you remember that the control room was?
Well, from my recollection, it was kind of laid out like a star. Basically, there were halls leading off of like a spokes to a wheel, if you will. And the hub was pretty much the control center. So usually you can lead to the hub if you just follow the hall. So typically there should be a hall that leads off of here, the main hall.
Keep in mind that generally in a mining facility, that center of the wheel that you spoke about is generally the shaft. So the control room is close to there, absolutely, but the center of it is always the shaft in a mining facility.
Yeah.
Megan, with hearing that we need to do that from Hannah, what would you reply, or what would you say to her? Besides singing your songs again.
Wait, sorry. It's kind of coming in and out. What? I don't know. It might be me.
Can the rest of you hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you. He was saying that what would Maddox think from this, based on?
Or would she reply to Hannah, or would she just kind of be distracted after what she just saw?
Would you reply to Hannah or be distracted of what you just saw?
Okay, yeah. So Maddox, I think that she would be kind of somewhere else, but she would hold on to Hannah. And this is the first time that I think Maddox has ever really like interacted with anyone like that. And she would look very earnestly at Hannah and say, "We have to save Eve. We have to, please."
And how would you respond to that, Hannah?
Hannah kind of pats her head, runs a thumb across her forehead, and we will make every effort to save her.
And this kind of, she looks more relaxed now, as if, you know, finally she's gotten something across to Hannah. And so she would look at everyone else and just smile and wait for people to do something.
Okay. So Dave, would you be kind of leading the way down to try to find this control room?
Yeah, I kind of start heading off looking for the control room.
Okay. Baron, would you go with him? Would you lead the way? I mean, you're kind of the consummate soldier. Would you go with him, or would you stay with the girls?
I probably would have seen Knuckles walk away and kind of followed him. Hannah's usually Maddie's calm down person, and
Okay.
I think my role is best served with Mick at this point. So yeah,
Okay.
I'd probably up there with him.
And what about you ladies? Would you be following Mick, or would you stay there for a little while by yourselves?
Hannah would wait until Maddie was a little bit back to her normal self.
Okay.
And when she got distracted by, you know, a little piece of Astra floating, then she'd be like, "All right, let's go find the boys."
Okay, so I think that they would probably be about 100 feet ahead of you. You could see them far down the hallway, but you're not, you know, it would take you probably 2 rounds to get up to them. But as you guys do, as you go up, you do find this room, and it actually says control room on the door. Mick, it says control room shaft B on the door.
Okay.
It does have another keypad.
Now check the badge just to see if it badges entry.
The one for Sea Racine is not successful. It just kind of goes. It just turns red. The color red. Looks like main power is off, but apparently the security doors are still active.
All right, so I'm going to break out the arc tool
Okay.
and begin working the lock.
Okay, give me a roll.
It's a total of a 20.
Absolutely opens up.
So, and at that point, by this point, I see the ladies coming up, and I say, "Ha! I've got it back." And so then I just kind of turn and sort of enjoying myself in the moment as I start looking into the room.
So you see, and you do see several computers. This is probably a, I don't know, maybe 15 by 15. It's a small room, but it's just jam-packed with computers, and you see servers on the side. You see 3 actual screens, and one of those kind of holographic glancer screens. And you see that they're powered up in kind of like a sleep mode. Dave, you're familiar with this. It looks like maybe they're on backup power or something like that, but main power would need to be restored to get them up. But I don't know, maybe you know a different way.
So I'm going to go over to the terminal and check the console to see if it responds.
Okay.
And seeing that it is still unresponsive, kind of thinking back to the last time we actually found a derelict ship, and the problem with the ship is that it had put into a similar sleep mode. It was an Umberforge mining collective, and they don't typically teach us these things because they're locked out. But I had actually spent a lot of time working on that. They had given me about 5 hours working on it to get in, but in the process, it had given me some insight into it. And so, at that point, I kind of like push it up and then rock it over to the side so that I can get back into the guts of it, and that's where I get my arc tool back into it, and I start humming to myself. And I'm just humming something. You've heard me do this before, and I start plugging in and I just start working on it.
And Maddox, would you know the song? Would you be singing along?
That's a good question. I'm just gonna roll to see if she knows. No, but she would try her best to hum very off key with Mick.
All right, Dave. You're successful with that tech roll. You can get one screen up. You can get one screen powered up. And I would imagine that you're basically splicing all the power that's going to all 3 of these into one. So you can get full power to one of these screens. You have left, right, and center. Which one do you want to power up?
From my experience, I like to go with the left, the sinister one. So that's the one I'm starting with. Okay.
And you do so. And as you kind of connect everything with the arc tool and splice the wires in the back, this screen pops up, this kind of flat screen pops up. And you see that this is actually kind of has a bunch of different windows, pressures, densities, flow rates. It looks like this is for the drill, that this particular console operates the drill. Basically just saying where it's at, what it's doing, how deep it is, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So that's what this one controls. Mm-hmm. And now that I have access to the terminal itself, mm-hmm. I should be able to get further in and possibly boot up the main power. So
from this one, I'd say it's a DC 17. That would be really hard to do from here. But as a mechanist, you do have one guaranteed win. But that's up to you. What would you like to do? If you roll on it and fail, I'm not going to let you roll again on it on this console. Uh-oh, the Atcon die.
18.
Okay. Then you figure out how to some backwards backdoor code to get into this thing, and you activate main power to shaft B and to this control room, and lights start to pop on around you. The room is illuminated. You see down past the glass. You're actually looking down into this kind of room where you see where the shaft has gone down, but in the shaft, not only do you see a few corpses, but you see that the shaft itself is actually broken. It's actually probably 5 feet from the hole. The shaft itself is spinning where it's connected to the rig, but the actual shaft is obviously fallen down into the hole. And the other thing that actually Maddox and Mick would both see is that you see a faint blue light down in that shaft, like coming from that shaft. And around the metal grating around it, you actually see some more of that kind of, it looks like it looked when that slug was around with its blood, that it was kind of melted the metal away, that kind of acidic corrosive characteristic. There is a couple spaces, probably 3 or 4, where it looks like maybe something was hit or something like that, but it has the same kind of melted characteristic. But you've only turned on main power for shaft B and this control room, Dave. That's the only thing you could access from that terminal.
Okay. And he kind of rocks back in the chair that he's working on, and he's like, "Aracalcum, indeed. There's no documentation of any Aracalcum coming out of this tube. Now, there were remnants and stuff, but this obviously is not what they were here for. But
They were here for Astra.
they were here for something.
No, they were here for Astra. Blue Astra.
It's kind of an Astra.
When hearing her say that, Hana generally keeps to herself. When she says something, you guys know that she thinks it's very important. Hearing that, this is a mining rig. It would be very odd for someone to say they were looking for Astra. How would you guys respond to that? Baron? Or would you care?
I think Corey kind of standing in the door now that the lights are on, he'd turn back to Hannah, having heard her say that. Why would they be looking for Astra in a rock? That don't make any sense. What do you know?
And Maddox, would you say anything to her? It would probably, as a Mancer, it would probably have caught your attention as well.
Yeah, Maddox would just kind of look up at her and start scribbling, like just start kind of like writing out in the air that pendant symbol that Mick had over and over again.
And Hana, you would know what that is, given your background and your history. There's very few Mancers who don't know what the founders are. It would be pretty evident what she meant by that. How would you respond?
She'd kind of touch the back of Maddie's hand. Founders, yes. I hear you.
During the long downfall, it was a bygone era. The old Dominion, it was ripped apart limb by limb with bloody wars. Technologies and developments were lost to the ages. We know that, right? They were lost. But there's rumors of vaults of Lorium. Yes, it's Astra. Astra. They used to call it Astra. Lore vials. The whisper pulse that it's coming true. I didn't think that it was real when I hacked into it, but they weren't looking for our Culcum. They were seeking the long lost Lorium vials. There must be a vault on Oth that they seem to have found. It's hard to find those, though, because they call them tombs. The old ruling clans of Bastion before the Seps, maybe even the founders.
And Taylor, hearing Mick kind of repeat some stuff that you know, what would you be thinking, and how would you respond to him?
There's no evidence that they found anything, except Astra.
Lorium is Astra. We know this because it holds the specters of our ship.
But they didn't find any vials. Nothing old. There's no proof of that. Conjecture. Pure conjecture.
Could be. I just got us in. Let's dig deeper and find out.
And with that sound, guys, with that shaft kind of powering up, you start to hear, you start to hear kind of the whole mining mechanism start to turn. And this is loud. Anything that didn't know that you were there definitely knows now. And you do see coming out of that shaft. The shaft is probably 6 feet around. It's huge. And they said that kind of faint blue light coming from out of it. You do see 2 more of these slug creatures slowly kind of climb over the lip and start to kind of travel around that circular platform around the shaft. They don't see you. They're not coming towards you, but you can see them. What would you guys like to do? I love it when everybody looks confused.
So Mick is going to get up and start moving his hands, which means kind of spread out. And he pulls out the pistol with the red Astra shells and comes around to kind of get a shot on one of them and takes aim to do so. So he gets a sneak attack.
Okay, there's a window. There's a window in front of you. There's kind of a sheet of either plexiglass or some type of a glass, probably not meant to be opened.
Okay, and Astra won't go through it. Okay.
You can try. You can, but that'd be one shot. You could try to break it with Astra, absolutely. Or you could just try to smash it or something like that. I mean, it's the glass that's separating the shaft from the control room. If you think about it, I would think it'd be pretty sturdy in case something happened in that shaft.
Yeah.
Now that the lights are powering on, do we see an entrance to the shaft? Like a general direction of where we could go to get in there?
Oh yeah, I mean, you basically would have to go one level down. This is underneath you, probably by about 12 feet. So you just have to go find a way to get down one level, and I'm sure you could get into the shaft itself. Sure. It's pretty self-evident. As we said, you guys are pretty familiar with these.
Right on. So I think Cormac, seeing these slugs, would turn to the party.
Uh-oh.
Did he freeze for everyone or just me?
Yeah, he did. He froze.
Okay. The suspense.
Yeah, he's looking like longingly. He kind of looks like Braveheart, or Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Anyway, while he's in deep thought, what do you guys want to do?
Hana looks over at Knuckles. Turn off the shaft. We don't need more of those things coming up.
Can I plug the shaft?
Not from the control room, but you can turn off the shaft that's spinning above it, because you have the shaft that's basically empty. It looks like the bit that was actually controlled. It looks like that has broken off. You see about a 5-foot piece that's spinning when the mechanism is turned on, but there is nothing going down in the hole, so it probably just fell down.
All right, so I'm going to turn that off because that's drawing power that we don't need to be expending at this point. And look over to Corey because he seemed to be deep in thought for a moment. In fact, he kind of froze, and then we're all anticipating what he was going to say.
I don't know where
What were you saying,
I dropped
Corey?
out there, but
You cut out at.
I'm glad an inspirational pose. Great.
We should have gotten a screenshot of that.
We should have.
It should have.
But anyway, yeah. So I don't know what you were saying, but you look great no matter what you were saying. So it's fine.
Solid, because I didn't notice I dropped until everyone else wasn't moving when I was done talking. So
Happens to the best of us, man. So start over.
I think kind of surveying the shaft here, seeing these slugs, I kind of shoulder my weapon and kind of turn to the party. Is this where we go down now? Anticipation for taking the lead into this shaft. Just kind of clarifying if we're about to begin a descent into this hole.
Okay. How would you guys respond? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, Mick's agreeable to that. I think that we need to find out what's in that shaft.
Okay.
Because he looks at Hannah and he says, I could be full of shit. That wouldn't be the first time. I mean, just ask Maddie.
Okay. So what do you guys want to try to do? Where do you want to go? Got to give me some directions here, guys.
I think we're trying to find a way around out of the control room into the shaft so we can kill those two.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely familiar with it. You guys are absolutely familiar with this, and you know that you would have to go down the hallway, and probably find some stairs that go down one level around the kind of inner part of this wheel shape, and that there should be 2 main doors going into the shaft. It should be fairly easy to find.
And Mick will start heading for that then.
Okay. And is everybody going to go with? Okay. So as you guys go down, you get kind of to the outer room. This is where like the technicians would prep, because in the shaft you don't know what you're going to be bringing up in that shaft. So they have to wear the specialized environmental suits as well, like the Evo suits. And so there's a bunch of lockers and stuff like that. But one thing that you notice in this kind of outer chamber before you go in, you see a large, it looks kind of like a storage locker, but you hear, it's just over and over again, that same pattern.
Mick's going to walk up and start returning the knocks.
And you hear, hello? Is there anyone there?
No.
Am I imagining it again? Damn it.
In the background, you see Hana do another facepalm.
And at that point, I try to open the door.
It's locked.
Okay, I'm going to roll it. Is it tech lock or?
It seems like, I mean, this is a storage locker. It doesn't seem like it would be a real technological thing. I mean, honestly, you could probably just bash it open. It's just sheet metal.
So I'm going to take
Baron wants to...
I have the pistol in my hand, so I'm going to just break it open. So,
all right.
So I knock it open. Do you want me to roll for it?
No, it's fine. You can just bust the handle off. And you...
I think I'd like to ready my weapon as he's doing this.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I step back and I kind of like, so in case it's going to come out swinging or something.
Oh, okay. Well, you do that, and it doesn't come out swinging, but what you see is a person. You see a human being kind of just emaciated. The smell coming out of this locker is revolting. How it's probably been in there for a very long time, and well, let's just say that it did its business in there too. So this thing just kind of rolls out, kind of covered in its own grossness, and this person's like, he actually goes up to you, Mick, and he kind of touches your feet with his hands, and it's like, and he puts his hands like kind of up your leg, and he's touching your waist, and kind of goes up to your chest and kind of pull himself up. He's like, you're real, right? You're not just in my head, right?
While he's doing this, because Mick is a slip dagger, he's trained in thievery. He is being very aware, just in case the guy's trying to pickpocket him or anything. So
okay.
He kind of like grabs his wrist, not harshly, but he kind of grabs his wrists and pushes him back, and he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out, I would imagine I have like a freeze-dried bag of food or something.
Sure, you have some type of rations.
So I reach in my pocket and I just rip it open and I just, here.
And he would ravenously grab it, and he would actually run back into his little storage locker and just kind of sit there and just kind of stare at all of you. Just
all right. And I'm holding up my hands. I'm like, we're here from the Umbra Forge Mining Collective. Who are you?
You're not from the Forge. They've got... I don't see your patches. You don't have any patches on. You're not from the Forge unless you have patches. Don't tell me from the Forge. There's nobody coming. We're all going to die.
Yeah, we're probably all going to die sooner or later. But we're the elites, okay? We're the mercenaries they hire.
Mercenaries? For what? You're
to
here
save your ass. And I pull out my flask and I throw it to him.
But you don't have patches. Without patches, you can't help us.
I pull out the badge and I kind of palm the hand, or my hand over C. Racine, and I show him the badge. And then I just put it back in my pocket.
Well, before you do that, he sees it, and he actually stands up and kind of takes a few steps, and he kind of reaches out before you put it in. He said, Carl, he was gonna get out. He was gonna get help. Is he dead? Is he?
We are the help. We found him.
So he's safe. He's safe then.
He's in a better place.
No. No. He was the strongest one. He got out and he got you guys, right? You guys are here to. You saved him. You're going to save me, and we're just going to leave, right?
We've got a ship,
Okay.
and we're ready to take you. But we need to know what happened.
Well,
Let's go up to the
We
control room.
No. It's safer here. They don't go. They haven't gotten me. It's been. I don't know, but no, it's fine. We'll just stay here.
Who are you?
He thinks for a moment, and he kind of puts his hand over his badge, and finally he takes it away, and you see a name Jay Sullivan, and he just kind of looks. He goes, "Just Sully. They call me Sully. Or at least they used to. It doesn't matter what happened here. We just need to go. They'll come. More of them will come. They keep coming out of that damn hole."
Ooh. The worms?
Is that what you think they are?
What
Those
are
aren't
they?
worms. We don't know, but they didn't look like worms to me. They looked like I don't know. They're just. It doesn't matter. We just need to go. It doesn't matter what they are. Just tell Umbra it didn't work out. It's not what they think. And blow it up. Just blow everything up. There's no reason to be on this planet or on this moon. We need to go. It was a stupid decision. They offered everybody double pay, and we were stupid. We should have known what we were getting into, and we
Did you
didn't.
find the Astra?
And with that, he looks up at you, and he kind of makes eye contact with you, Hana, and he just gives you a slight nod. Yeah. They found what they were looking for. But it's not what they think it is. It's not going to help people. Stuff like that just needs to stay buried. Need to stay down there.
I think at this point, Corey will kind of have raised his weapon back on this guy, and now look, pal, you've been talking in circles for about 10 minutes, and at this rate, you're going to lead us into that hole. No one's going anywhere till we know what's going on.
You think I'm going to go into that room? Are you fucking nuts? I've survived it this long. You think I did that by being stupid?
Mick kind of looks over at Maddox for a second and says, "Well, some of us are, but."
And he looks over at Baron, and he notices something in Baron's eyes, and he's like, "Okay, just do it. I know what you were sent here for. Just do it."
Oh, Sully.
He's not taking his eyes off of Baron, and you see him reaching around to the back to the back where his belt is, and he just holds his hand there. But his back is away from you guys. You can't see if he has anything or anything like that, and he's probably 10, 15
Corey
feet away from
would
Baron.
hesitate. I think seeing him go to the back of his belt there, I would probably have loosed a shot.
Roll to hit.
That is a natural 20.
And what are you firing?
Short scattergun.
Okay. So describe how this guy gets ripped apart by your scattergun.
I kind of picture this shot being more in the chest rather than anywhere else. It kind of just blows open his tunic or whatever he's wearing. I kind of imagine like a jumpsuit tied at the waist since he's been in this shed for so long. The force kind of just blows him back into this
storage
shed. Yep.
Okay. So seeing that, Hana and Maddox, what are you guys gonna do or say to him?
Maddox has been pretty quiet up until this point since her last episode, but at this, she would cry out and run towards this body and say, "No, Icebox, she's trying to like shake this guy to see, just tried to like, seems like she's trying to get through to him, like, and she just keeps saying like, Icebox, the Icebox, Eve.
And with that, with like his last few seconds, as you're shaking him, his eyes are just wide, and he's looking at you like just so surprised to hear that name. And with like his last breath, he says, "Storage room 4." And he closes his eyes, and he's gone.
Harbinger's tits, what the hell is going on?
What the fuck, Corey? This is why we can't have nice things, okay? This.
I think Corey would be like, "You seen it? He was reaching for something. It's all fun and games until he shoots at us."
Yeah, but he was all fucking disheveled and stuff. Sully would have... Okay, he may have shot me, but he wouldn't have killed me.
Hana waves a hand, and like this kind of yellow force wall starts to materialize. She goes, "Really? You think he was dangerous to us? Really?"
And
I don't know about you, Hannah, but I've seen people trapped alone for 2 weeks, and I can tell you who he's not safe to. Us. Or himself. I did him a favor. We weren't getting any information from him. He wasn't going to help us.
And with that, Maddox, as you're kind of standing like next to him, like listening, you see, as he's kind of laying there, you see what he was holding on to, on his belt, and you pull it out, and you see that it's a photograph of himself and what you only imagine to be his wife and child. And now half of it is covered in his blood.
Maddox would pick up the photo and just look at it, and then walk up to Corey and would put it onto his chest so that the picture faced out, and would kind of push it in so that the blood, the stickiness of the blood would kind of adhere it to whatever he was wearing. And she would say, "You wear them now." And then she would take off into the room, muttering about locker 4, and just she would go off just trying to look for numbers or anything.
And Hana, did you want to do anything else, or while she says that, or when she walks over there, or do you just want to kind of lurk for right now?
Hana's watching, and
Okay.
When Maddox starts turn to leave, she'll shoot a dark look at Corey and follow.
Well, she's not so much going to leave. I think she's searching this room because she was told storage unit 4. And give me an investigation roll, Maddox. Investigation or perception, either way.
It's 13.
Okay. You do find it. It's just a small footlocker. And it isn't locked. But it looks, it's metal and wood, but it looks pretty worn. I'm assuming that you'll open it?
Yeah. Yeah. She throws it open in desperation and looks inside.
You see an old leather-bound journal and a bunch of what look to be dog tags. And on the front of the leather-bound journal, it says, Oth Penal Facility, 17. And your eyes immediately zoom in on these dog tags. And the first one that you see at the very top, prisoner 06442, Eve Wilcott.
Maddox would have this, and she, with shaking hands, would take the dog tag and put it around her wrist. And holding this bound journal, she would find a corner and just sit. And with trembling fingers, she would open it. And with the most concentration she can muster, begin to read.
And that is where we end this session, guys. So we were going to do a one-shot, but you guys kept RPing, and I want to encourage that. So it's going to take another probably 3 hours for us to finish. So before we did that, I asked everybody if they would be cool with a part 2. So I hope that was enjoyable for everybody. I know it got a little emotional there at the end. But anyway, you can take your mutes off now, guys.
Fucking Corey, man. We have these talks. I mean, I can just envision Mick sitting there having these talks with Corey like, okay, dude, you really need to just, okay, the itchy trigger finger, you just got to take it calm at times. You know, it's one thing to level the gun, and it's another whole other thing to just pull the fucking trigger.
I feel like we've had talked about this on the ship. Like, come on, man. We talked about this.
Yeah, and Mick actually would have turned to him and said, oh my God, dude.
Again?
This is what we talked about.
I've
Play it cool.
shooting me dirty looks, but I've received these looks before. This isn't anything new.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I thought everybody did an excellent job at the role play. Megan, that character is really interesting. Like, you, and I saw you kind of had prepped some things to sing. That was really cool, and I really appreciate you making that effort to put that much effort into that character. That means a lot to me, and I'm sure your other fellow players appreciate it. But that character was killer. All of you, though, played off of each other so well, and that's the point of this. Is a one shot. You guys have never played together. I've never played with any of you, and I can just sit back and go ahead. Like, that's the best part about DMing for good players, and I truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that, because I don't prep, so I need you guys to do all the work. Although I thought the little picture at the end was a nice touch. Just saying. But yeah, no, you guys, like I said, I think you all did a great job. Dave, thanks for kind of, when things, no one was saying anything, thanks for jumping in there and kind of taking the lead as far as the RP. But having all of my conversations with you guys, I will tell you that all of you fulfilled those things perfectly. And you still can't tell each other. You can tell it at the end of the next game, I promise. You can tell the little tidbits, but all of you did such a great job with the information that I gave. And I hope that information was helpful to figuring out your characters.
Yeah, it definitely gave me a perspective I never really thought about, I guess, going into a character is not so much my affiliations with people, but people's affiliations with me and what I'm expected to do, not exactly what I want to do. So yeah, that was really cool. And I liked role-playing with it today.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to stop the broadcast real quick. Did anybody want to do any outros or anything, or are we good for tonight? No, we're good. So I'm going to stop the broadcast, guys. Again, thank you very much for doing an amazing job. Thank you, the players that are people that have been watching. We've gone between 6 and 10 viewers the whole time, so that's awesome. Thank you. And if you stick around for a few minutes, guys, I have some stuff to chat with you about before we finish. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and have a great night.